By the end of the Franco-Prussian War in the late 1800s, France had lost a considerable amount of land to the Germans. To stop this from happening again, the French built a whole series of fortifications in and around the city of Verdun. In 1916, some of the bloodiest fighting in the history of mankind unfolded in the trenches of France. 10 months of fighting with over 700,000 casualties. German Chief of Staff Erich von Falkenhayn knew that if he was going to beat the British, he first had to defeat the French by, quote, bleeding them white. But instead of going through their front lines, he decided to attack a place that they would never abandon. He chose the city of Verdun because not only was it important to the French, it was also very hard for them to resupply it. On the 21st of February 1916, an initial 200,000 German troops attacked Verdun, defended by a mere 34,000 French troops. During the first few days of the battle, more than 1 million shells fell in the area. At the time of the German attack, the French were busy preparing for the Somme offensive. They had already stripped down most of the forts around Verdun, so they were caught a bit off guard. However, they were quick to move troops back here and defend Verdun. Now, despite all the brutal attacks and the loss of the forts, the Germans never made it all the way to the city of Verdun. So that was the Verdun Memorial. Interestingly, it was opened in 2016 by both the French and the German governments. Verdun became a nightmare. Villages were razed, forts were captured, soldiers were fighting in close combat with bayonets and gas. Verdun became known as the furnace that devoured everything. Check out this bunker. Built between 1874 and 1879, Fort Tavannes was the first of the series of forts built surrounding Verdun. In September 1916, it was hit by a shell which ignited the generator fuel as well as some of the ammunition. The French soldiers that were trapped inside were forced to escape via the northern entrance. The German soldiers noticed this and concentrated all their artillery fire on that exit, effectively trapping the French in a burning fort. Rescuers could only enter the fort a few days later. They were able to identify about 475 of the 600 victims. Sadly, today only this blocked off tunnel exists. In the countryside surrounding the forts, several of these casemates were built. Bamatia was fitted with 2 Hutchins machine guns on a rotary mechanism, which meant one could be firing while the second is being reloaded. Welcome to the destroyed village of Douaumont. Now, if you look at all these signs on either side of the road, they show where people's houses used to be. This is the village of Douaumont, or used to be. There used to be 52 houses here. On the evening of the 25th of February, after Fort Douaumont was captured, This became the new front line. Soldiers fought hand to hand as both sides wanted to keep the village. Unfortunately, the French had to retreat by the 4th of March, and it was only recaptured in October 1916. La Tranche de Bayonet is where 20 French troops who died in the trenches here were buried by German troops in June of 1916. In 1920, their graves were discovered with their rifles protruding from the ground. After the war, 14 of them were positively identified and buried in other cemeteries. The remaining 7 are buried here in this concrete structure. Towards the end of 1916, the Germans started their retreat, and this became the new front line. The commune of Louvemont, a commune that's existed here since Gallo-Roman times, became the latest name added to the list of destroyed villages. It is hard to imagine that this commune of Louvemont existed here since 1041 and now is nothing but a few holes in the ground. Colonel Emile Driant was a well-loved author, a soldier and a politician. He was also in charge of 2 infantry battalions stationed here, just north of Verdun. After the initial German attack, his orders were to hold back the Germans as long as possible. Outnumbered and outgunned, he did so for almost 2 days. He was also the first high-ranking officer to die in the Battle of Verdun. On the 22nd of February, he died while covering his troops' retreat. His body was later retrieved and buried properly here where he fell. This is where Colonel Driant and his men were stationed. Of course, every story has 2 sides, and war has casualties. Here in Hautcourt German Cemetery lies the remains of nearly 8,000 German soldiers. This behind me is the Himwil cannon. It is a Monel 1910 140mm naval gun that was brought here to the front line by the French on tracks. But to fight a war on this scale, you need supplies. So the French created La Voie Sacrée, a single road that supplied Verdun that never stopped, day or night. La Voie Sacrée, or the Sacred Way, was a 50-kilometer stretch of road carrying convoys of trucks, supplying Verdun with food, ammunition, and fresh troops, non-stop. So important was this supply route to the French that they placed road crews every kilometer along the 50-kilometer stretch to ensure that the convoy never stopped. It is said that one truck passed a certain point on this road every 14 seconds. Now that's an incredible feat because the French military at that stage owned less than 200 trucks. 3,500 trucks were used to supply Verdun. The coolest part about the Sacred Road is that after the war, the French reclassified it to D1916. By the end of the war, 1.4 million French soldiers had been killed, thousands of those never identified. The Battle of Verdun claimed 300,000 dead, 400,000 wounded. It became a symbol of endurance, but also of sacrifice. In the end, the French spirit held up. They shall not pass. To honor these unidentified soldiers, the French government decided to bury one of these unidentified soldiers in a very significant place. In 1920, the remains of 8 unidentified soldiers from battlefields across France were brought here to Verdun. A young soldier named Augustin, an orphan from the war himself, was given the chance to pick one of them. Being part of the 132nd Infantry Division, he added the 3 numbers together and picked coffin number 6. The soldier he selected became known as Les Soldats Inconnus and would go on to represent all of France's unknown soldiers. The remaining 7 were buried here at Faubourg-Pave Cemetery in Verdun. On the 11th of November 1920, the coffin of Les Soldats Inconnus was carried through the streets of Paris and buried underneath the Arc de Triomphe. His flame is being cared for by the Veterans Association, a tradition that's never been neglected even during World War II. Now, as I leave Verdun on this winter morning, one final fact. During those 300 days of the battle, 60 million shells were dropped in and around Verdun. That equates to 20,000 shells a day, or roughly 140 shells per square meter. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe so that we never forget.